Shalom and welcome to the adventures of YHWHY. I'm Mr. Vance. Shabbat Shalom. We are going to call it in for the morning. All that have ears, these things right here, everybody that has ears, let him hear Shema. Hanak, guttural het, nun, vav, kuf. Dedicated. Hanak, an anti-diluvium, which means before the flood, an antediluvian patriarch, and prophet. He was the son of Yarid. He was the 7th book of the Et Sefer, or the Aleph Tav Sefer. There was also 2 others, a son of Cain and a son of Midian. Now, when you look at just the basic word of Hanak, or Hanakite, okay, these were descendants of Hanak, and they were also the sons of Reuben. Now, what does Hanan mean? Now, if you look at different... okay, I'm trying to get a good focus here, but when you look at Hanan, it is favored or dedicated. And when you look back at the name Jochenan, and you look at the full understanding, dichotomizing that word, taking it into the Strongs, and as well as going into the Hebrew, then chasing it back to the Jeff Benner's Ancient Hebrew Lexicon, and looking at those Paleo letters. These letters here are modern Hebrew, very, very different than the ancient language that I have so come to love, and many others. Baruch Hashem, it is the tongue of fire, His kavod, His glory, that is the double-edged sword that comes forth through the mouth. He that speaketh the words of Yahweh, like these men. Okay, Hanak is one of my favorites. He's mentioned so little in the Torah. So when we look at Hanak and where he is, we must ask why. So we will go to the book of Bereshit. And where are we going to find him? We're in the Genesis 10. Okay, so here we're getting into Eber and Peleg. We got to go back. Oh, look there. Noah is being blessed. Oh, whoa, we just passed. That looks like the Tower of Babel. Huh. So we're going to go back. Oh, we're getting back into the flood. And sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And here we're back into Genesis, or Bereshit 3, where Adam beget, and you have Abel, slain by Cain. Let's go to the book of Bereshit, chapter 5, and we are going to see at this time you have Adam lived 100 years and 30 years and brought forth a son. In his own likeness, after his own image, and called his name Seth. Now, we're going to come back into chapter 5. Very important, because this is the book of genealogies of Adam. In the day Elohim created man, he made him in the likeness of Elohim. Male and female he created them, and let's get to here. When we look here, right before that, here, this is where Cain, who slew his brother Abel, was killed. And this is a story that is told just barely in the Torah, in Bereshit, but is contained in great detail in the Aleph Tav Sefer. We're going to take a look at this. So right here, let's find it. I'm trying to look through the lens. And it says, Hanak was born to Yarid, and Yarid brought forth Yael, and Yael brought forth Methusael, and Methusael brought forth Lamech. Now, very interesting. And Lamech took for himself 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the second was Sisla. Now, this is brought out in great detail in the book of Yasher, as well as the book of Yevelim, Jubilees. Let's continue. Verse 20, Bereshit, Genesis chapter 4. And Ada bore Yabel, and was the father who dwelt in tents and livestock. And his brother's name was Ubal, and was the father of all those who play the lyre and the flute. Anyway, as for Tisla, she also bore Tubal-Cain, a smith of all kinds of tools, of bronze, get a focus, of bronze, and the sisters of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Now, Lamech, who was the father of Noah, said to his wives, Ada and Sisla, Hear my voice, wives of Lamech, listen to my words, for I have killed a man for wounding me, even a young man for hurting me. For Cain has avenged 7-fold, and Lamech 77-fold. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and called his name Seth. For Elohim has appointed me another seed instead of Havel, because Cain had killed him. This is critical. So, because Lamech shot an arrow at a very old age, by the way, and saw a monster, this is described in the book of Yasher, and slew it with his arrow, and went and realized that it was a hairy beast that actually was his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather to his wives, and his son, his Tubal-Cain. So, it says, Cain is avenged 7-fold, and Lamech 77-fold. Lamech died at 777 years. But the next verse, this is a super interesting series. And Seth, to him also a son was born, and he called his name Enosh. Then it was begun to call on the name of Yahweh. So the line of Seth called upon Yahweh, and Cain's line, the Canaanites, those that were begotten of these giants, they had become so corrupted. You get into the book of Hanak, as we will, what these watchers, the fallen ones, actually did and taught and fell. Why? So I believe Lamech did the world a favor by bringing to Adam and Hava, once they realized their two sons were finally gone. At 130 years, they beget Seth. Seth, which is the name or the character. So, in Hashem, they called upon the name. And then it goes into the genealogies of Adam. And he brings forth his sons. We're going to come down. You've got all of the patriarchs. And we're going to get to, here's Mahaliel. He lived 65 years and brought forth Yarid. And after he brought forth Yarid, Mahaliel lived 830 years and brought forth sons and daughters. Now, from this equation, you can do it through the whole text. Mahaliel was, and Canaan lived 70 years. So this Canine lived 70 years and brought forth Mahaliel. So he was 70 years old. And then he brought forth, Canine lived 840 years. Now, I'm using this as an example. If I may pull some other notes of mine out, I've got copious notes. Breastplates. Ooh, I hope they're not in my other clipboard. Oh, brother. Let's go back. We've got my notes here, and these are basic scribbles as my brain is trying to comprehend some very deep things in a language that is not my native tongue. So, we're going to look at Adam here. He beget... Okay, so Adam had two sons, Cain and Abel. Havel. Cain slew Havel, who was the righteous shepherd, the good shepherd. And Cain had sons during 130 years, and this goes all the way to before the flood in time. So, you have Cain, son of Adam, Cain, who had a son named Hanak, who is not the Hanak that wrote the book of Hanak. This is a different individual. So you have Hanak, Irad, Mehuyael, Methusael, Lamech, which this is where they converge, he has wives, Ada and Zilha, and they are both daughters of Adam. So when you get to this point, Lamech kills, he shoots an arrow at a very old age. He's with his son, Tubal-Cain, and he shoots the arrow, killing Cain. And the description in the book of Yasher, a Yeti, maybe a Bigfoot, it is a very big individual, and he did not realize it, that was the son of Adam, who incidentally killed or slew his brother Havel. So at that point, Adam knew his wife Havilah, and they begat Seth. So Seth, that was at 130 years. This is Bereshit 4:25, as we were looking at. Now, his son Enosh, it says they called upon the name of Yahweh in Bereshit 4:26. And then you get into the genealogies. The important thing here that I'm looking at is this is first before the flood, and the atmosphere, the firmament of the heavens up there were completely different. The weather, I believe gravity, was different before the flood time. The oxygen levels were much greater, and men lived to great ages when they lived in righteousness. If they don't live in righteousness, they die in battle. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. And that is what those despicable watchers, the fallen ones, what they did in the book of Hanak. We will get to that. It's all quite important. By the way, in the Dead Sea Scrolls, the book of Hanak, in all of the books that were written and kept in the library of Qumran, who was not the Essenes, it was the library of the rightful Kohanim Hagadol, Jochenan ben Zachariah, or John the Baptist, Jochenan, the mikvator. So, out of all the books that were counted in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that were Jochenan's library, they were not the Essenes. And the amount of Bereshit was number 1. You have the books, book of Ishiyahu, or Isaiah, came in second with the most complete books. And the book of Hanak is the 4th in number. This is an important information that has been hidden, and these information are being unlocked. So this is my point. It's a mathematical equation on the creation. After Seth, I have coffee. Okay. So after creation, Adam was 130 years when Cain was killed by his great son Lamech. At that point, Adam begat Seth at 130 years. And then it says he lived 800 years and had sons and daughters, etc. So at that point, he is 130 years. And it goes down through how old these individuals were. These are our progenitors. So, when you get to Seth, Seth was 105 years, and he begat Enosh. And Enosh was 90 years, and begat Cain, and so on and so on. So, if we take those numbers here, and we add up, so from the time 130 years plus 105 plus 90 plus 70 and so forth. We're going to do a mathematical equation here. We've got from Adam, and then after that was Seth beget Enosh, and Cain. Let's see, I might be off on my finger holding. Anyway, we add these up, and this is from the times of the firstborn, and we get 1056, and at Noah's age, it says he was 600 when the flood came. So we're looking at after creation, the year 1656. Now, this is almost, it's a mathematical equation. However, from the book of YHWH, let's pull it out. Ouch! Okay, the book of YHWH, or the Sefer of Jubilees. And in this version of the Sefer, there is something that I feel is missing. And throughout this whole book, this is a calendar. It is a history of the division of the days of the Torah. Yeah, there was a Torah before Moshe. And of the testimony of the events of years. These are man-made words here in explanation. I don't think they're actually necessary. However, we start reading down through, and you realize that this is a calendar, that as well as every date that a son is born to these patriarchs, it is also giving the name of the wives who their parents were in genealogy. It normally will give the name, what that means, as well as a definitive date of Jubilees. Now, this principle, you have creation, Bereshit, or in the beginning. Yahweh created the heavens and earth in 6 days. He rested on the 7th day. So, when we look at that creation event, Yahweh created heavens and earth in 6 days. He rested on the 7th. He sanctified it as Kodesh for you and all generations, that you shall have a day of rest. So first, that is long before the time of Moshe. There were commandments given to Adam in the garden, and they transgressed them greatly. Adam had 130 years of repentance. And the reason that he stepped up is because he was the rightful Kohanim Hagadol of Yahweh, Elyon Tezavot, Elohim, Yahweh. And he stepped up to the plate and begat Seth, to have a lineage as the Melech Zadok, as a replacement of Havel, his son who was slain by Cain. So this is kind of a backstory to where you get into the book of Jubilees. See if we can find it right here. We're in the garden. Gotta get up to... Okay. Okay, I'm going to give you an instance here where it says right here, and in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, in this Jubilee, Noah planted vines on the mountain. So this is after the flood, and it says in the 7th week. That's talking about the process of Shavuot, from Pesach to Shavuot, the 50 days in between, 49 plus the Kodesh day equals 49. It's a principle all the way through the book. You have in Kepha, back here, Peter, there, he speaks, and James as well, Yaakov. He says, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is like a day. What do you mean? Look at it literally. Yahweh created the heavens and earth in 6 days. He rested on the 7th, sanctified it as Kodesh. We have approximately, we're at the end of 6,000 years. You have from creation, and you have the time in the Garden of Eden, which the Garden of Eden, or the land of Havilah, where the gold is good. It is the land of Hava, who is Eve's bride. El, in the midst of her, Hav, El, La, Havilah, and that is the Garden of Eden. And you know what? There's lots of theories and about where it was and so forth. If you go to and look up Pison and Sheba and the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and where they went, you'll find the Garden of Eden. And in the book of Jubilees, which is the division of years as well as the division of land, it is also spoken of in the book of Yasher. Yasher, which means a straight way. The book of Yasher is the most detailed account of history. This is written from the narrative of the all-knowing, and it will speak of what one king has in his heart and speaks to his queen in their bedchambers, and in the paragraph after will speak of what a general and his visors are in council and going to war against the next day. And the outcome was set forth beforehand. The providence, if you will, of Yahweh and the miracles. These are so far beyond anything Hollywood could conjure up. Do not be easily deceived, my friends. We're going to get back into the topic, and we're going to get into now Hanak. So Enoch, we're going to look at an event. This is one that I've recorded several times from different versions, different translators, and I must say I really do respect the Aleph Tav Sefer and what they have done and compiled. And they are putting new books that have been found. In fact, last year, 2017, a new cave in the Qumran area that this is probably put there by the disciples of Jochenan the Immerser and not the obscene cult from Engedi, but this is a book of Yosef Ve'asnath, and it is called a prayer of Asnath. This is one that is found in the Qumran caves. If we go to Bereshit, and we look at the wife of Yosef, after, the sons of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, Joseph was sold to the Midianites and then into Mitzrayim. And after the episode with Potiphar's wife and a nasty prison sentence where he smiled because he was blessed of Yahweh, he knew it was of no good to complain, and he was faithful. And Yahweh, he was given the benefit of the blessings of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov, and his wisdom was so great. And as one that has read and recorded the book of Wisdom of Shlomo, which, let's see if we can find it. That would probably be, well, anyway, Wisdom of Shalom. There are a lot of books in here, and as I have read almost every one of them, I've recorded them, I hope you have enjoyed them. They do not contradict one another. They are books of tzedakness, righteousness. So now we're going to dive into a topic that would most see verboten. They don't want to hear the words of Hanak and his righteous instructions. His righteousness was as when the watchers saw what was going on. And let's just read it real quick. I'm going to kind of bounce around because chapter 7 gives a history that Bereshit only covers maybe 2 to 3 sentences because it is a recap. When Moshe says, "Is it not written in the book of Yasher?" Yes, it was. So, we're going to look at the fall of the Watchers. And who were these giants? Giants, really? As tall as, say, a bridge or a tree? No. Well, if we look in Bereshit, we will find that it does talk about the men of renown, the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the words in the Greek, the Septuagint, and then the KJV. Oh, pardon me. I do prefer a Kodesh Restored Names version. So, we're going to look at what these fallen ones did. And this is the chronology that was recorded of Hanak. It is chapter 7. Hope I'm not making you too dizzy with the camera actions. So, let's try it this way. Can you see that? I don't think you'll ever see that. Okay, we'll try it here. So, and it happened that after the sons of men multiplied in those days, that the daughters were born to them elegant and beautiful. And the watchers, the sons of heaven, B'nai Elohim, beheld them, they became enamored of them, saying, Come, let us select for ourselves women from the prodigy of men, and let them beget children. They were never intended to have offspring. They were eternal creatures. And their leader, Samiaz, said to them, I fear that you may perhaps be indisposed of performing of this enterprise. That I alone shall suffer for the grievous crime. So this is talking of this archangel, Samiaz. And then it goes down through what these creatures, because they were created, did. So, we're going to come down to where this took place, and it is on the top of Mount Hermon. And it is, they descended upon Arda. So this is the top of Mount Hermon. So what they answered him and said, We all swear and bind ourselves by mutual excretions that we will not change our intentions, but execute our projected undertaking, which was to begat themselves children from the beautiful daughters. We're going to skip down, and here it says Samiaz, who was their leader. This is their names. These are names that we are not to speak, actually, because these are the names that have been changed. This is the pantheon. These were the fallen archangels. We're going to see how many archangels that fell, and we'll also do a mathematical equation showing us how many total approximate archangels, seraphim, and the cherubim, being plural, were there total. So, in the mountain they called Hermon, UN station up there today. Check it out on Google Maps. So, Samiaz was their leader. Samiaz was their leader. There is Ura Kaba Ramel, Aki Bael, Tamael, Ramuel, Danel, Azakel, Serek Anel, etc., etc. These are not easy to pronounce. If you want to hear them, listen to my recordings. That's a little more fun. So, these were the prefects, or the angels under the leader, who was Samiaz. There were 200 angels, and the remainder were with all of them. So there were the 200 angels that fell, and all of those subordinate creatures under them. Okay, and they took women, each choosing for himself, and they cohabitated, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. So they're splicing and creating new things. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, and they bore to them 3 races. So at this point there are 3 different races. First, the great giants. And the great giants brought forth the Nephilim, which that means fallen ones, Nephal, to fall, and plural. And the Nephilim brought forth the Iliod. I believe this is what you would now know as demons. We're drifting on my camera action. I apologize. Okay, and they existed increased in power according to their greatness, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These discovered all the labor of men until it became impossible to feed them, when they turned themselves against men in order to devour them. That's why the patriarchs were in caves. It speaks of in Bereshit, hiding. And began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes. Now, we're going to go up. We're going to go to Hanak, chapter 8. Moreover, Azazel. Trying to hold it still, folks. Woo! Okay, and Azazel. Focus! Boop. All right. Pay attention. So, this is, I would have to say, this is your biggest candidate for Zeus. You also have this Samael character that was the leader, and I believe you can go right back into the mythologies of men, Norse, Egyptian, Greek, Guatemalan, Ecuadorian, Oriental, those fallen ones. That's the mythology. That's where you get the Helios. That is where you get the Trinity of Horus, Anubis, and Isis, or whatever perversion. So this is where that comes from. Yahweh says, "This is my name forever, Yahweh, I change not." This individual changes his name often, and I believe he is the Zeus character that deceived the nations, as well as the current deity of the nation known as God. Whichever one of these characters are all under this Samayaz. So, Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and the fabricating of mirrors. Was that to look at themselves? I believe this was for cutting stone with intense golden mirrors that were able to do the architecture of the Canaanites, where it goes through the genealogies of Cain, who killed Abel. It gets to Tubal and Tubal-Cain and Jubal, etc. And it says they were builders and mathematicians. So here in the book of Hanak, it's giving much greater detail. And it says that use of paint for beautifying the eyebrows, stones of every value. Okay. So that the world became altered. This is the cutting of roots, etc. All this stuff. Impiety increased. Fornication multiplied, and they transgressed and corrupted all their ways. And then these fallen ones were not back in this list. So we have Amazarach taught all the sorcerers and dividers of roots, almers, and solutions of sorcery. This is those that are taking all armors that are warfare. You have this angel. He was the observer of stars and perverted that into astrology, and we'll see this here. You have Akbaal, showed signs. This one taught astronomy. Asradel taught the motion of the moon, and men being destroyed cried, and their voice reached heaven. So at this point, we have heard of Michael and Gabriel. Well, here they are. This is not the first time they've been seen in the history, by the way. In verse 9 it says, Michael and Gabriel and Raphael, which is healing, Suriel and Uriel, that's where you get the word Ariel, by the way, looked down from heaven and saw the quantity of blood which was shed on the earth, and the iniquity which was done upon it, and said to one another in their voices of their cries, the earth deprived has cried even to the gate of heaven. And now to you, O you, Kodesh Echad Shamayim, the Holy One of heaven. The souls of men complain, saying, bring judgment to us from El Elyon. They're in torment. And they said unto their master, Adonai, the king of Adonai of Adonai, and Elohim of Elohim. Does that sound familiar from the King James? Lord of Lords, King of Kings. He is the King of Kings. So this is who it's speaking of. The throne of your glory is forever and ever. Le'olam va'ed, forever. And ever is your name sanctified and glorified. You are blessed and glorified. You have made all things. So we're going to come down to here, where it speaks of Azazel. So you behold all things, and nothing can be concealed from you. You can be concealed from you. So what Azazel has done, how he has taught every species of iniquity upon the earth, and has disclosed to the heavens. The leader, Samael, also has taught sorcery, to whom you have given authority over those who are associated with him. Given authority? Is that a false? There's a deception going on here. You know, I've never met anybody that says, you know, I'm under deception. I'm going to hell in a handbasket and I know it. No, they don't know it's a deception. If they knew it was a deception, it wouldn't be a deception. In fact, to me, it's really quite obvious that there is an imposter that has deceived the nations. So, it says, this is the accusations of Michael and Gabriel and Raphael, and they go to Yahweh at the throne. And it says Samael has also taught them sorcery. Skip to here. They have gone together with the daughters of men, have lain with them, have become polluted, and have revealed their sin to them. The women likewise have brought forth giants. Skip down a bit. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteousness which is committed on the earth. You know all things before they exist. You know the things that has been done by them, yet you do not speak to us on account of these things. So, as we go down, it says, then Elyon, the Great One, the Kodesh Echad, spoke and sent Say Lamech, the son of Lamech, saying, say to him in my name, Hashem, conceal yourself, then explain to him the consummation which is about to take place, for all the earth shall perish. The waters of a deluge shall come over the whole earth, and all that are in it shall be destroyed. And now teach him how he may escape. He has an escape. And how his seed, this is important because hopefully you are of that seed, may remain in all the earth. Again, Yahweh said to Raphael, bind Azazel, and foot, cast him into the darkness, and the opening, the desert, which is in Dudael, which, as we've seen, is Mount Hermon. Cast him in there, throw upon him hurled, and pointed stones, covering him with darkness. Where, we're going to hit just key words because we're going long, he will remain there forever, that he may not see the light. And in the great day of judgment, that would be the day of Elohim, which is not a day of happiness, it's a day of darkness. So in the great day of judgment, let him be cast into the fire. Chazan, Revelation 17. Restore the earth, which the angels have corrupted, and announce life to it, Kai, that I may receive it. And the sons of men shall not perish in consequences of every secret by which the watchers have destroyed, and which they have taught their offspring. All the earth has been corrupted by the effects of their teaching of Azazel. To him, therefore, ascribe the whole crime. To Gabriel also Yahweh said, go to the bastards, to the reprobates, to the children of fornication, and destroy the children of fornication, the offspring of the watchers from among men. Bring them forth and excite them one against another. Let them perish by mutual slaughter. They killed each other. For length of days shall not be theirs. They shall not entreat you, but their fathers shall not obtain their wishes respecting them, for they shall hope for eternal life, and they may live, each of them, 500 years. And to Michael he spoke likewise, Yahweh said, oh, there's my finger, sorry about that. Yahweh said, go and announce his crime to Samael and to the others who are with him. So here he is sending Hanak to sentence them with a righteous judgment, and they are cast into duel. So I'm going to look at some of these things. It says that they will be shut up forever until the judgment. And immediately after this shall Samael together with them, this is a future event still, burn and perish, and they shall be bound until the consummation of many generations. Destroy all the souls addicted to lust, and the offspring of the watchers, and they have tyrannized over mankind. Well, you can see that still today. Let every oppressor perish from the face of the earth. Let every evil work be destroyed, and the plant of the darkness, righteousness, and of rectitude appear, and to produce becoming a blessing. The darkness, righteousness, and rectitude shall be forever planted with delight. And then shall all the Kodashim give thanks, and live until they have begotten 1,000 children, while the whole period of their youth and of the Shabbaoth. This is speaking of the millennial kingdom, which, if Yahweh created the heavens and earth in 6 days, rested on the seventh. You have about 15 approximate 100 years before the flood, and from that time unto the Messiah coming. And then we have approximately 12, it's year 2000, that doesn't mean anything. 1,000 years is like a day, and day is like 1,000 years. This is speaking of the millennial kingdom, the Malchut, the Shabbatot shall be complete in Shalom. And those days all the earth shall be cultivated in righteousness, and shall be wholly planted with trees, filled with benedictions, blessings, dedications. In every tree of delight shall be planted in it. In it shall vines be planted, and the vine shall be planted in it, shall yield fruit to satisfy every seed, which shall be sown in it, shall produce, listen up, for 1 measure 1,000, and for 1 measure olive shall produce 10 presses of oil. We're going to stop here because this is just incredible. I love these books. But here, the New Testament principle of 10, 100, or 1,000-fold return. Well, that quote in the New Testament, in the parables of the Messiah, he is teaching from the book of Hanak. He is also teaching these principles that have totally become apparent, that the deity of the nations that everybody calls upon now, LRD or GOD, whatever name they call upon. When we get to the book of Acts here, and we go to chapter 3, where it says that Jochenan went in with Kepha into the temple, the Hakel, for the hour of prayer. And it says that there was a man that was lame from birth, and he was at the gate called Beautiful, which is the Jaffa Gate, asking for alms and as people went into the temple. And Kepha answers him and fastens his eyes because he was expecting something. So it says he spoke. Kepha said, "Silver and gold I have none, but such as I give to you in the name of YHWH HaMashiach of Nazareth. Rise up and walk." And he took him by the hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. Why am I coming here? Why? Well, because this man went leaping and stood and entered into the temple, walking, leaping, and praising Yah. And all the people saw him walking and praising, and they took notice of this. If we fast forward from to chapter 4 in the book of Messiah, or the Acts of the Apostles, and it says the temple captain, of the Zadoks, or the Sadducees, and they came and asked some questions. And let's find the place. So, the high priests were gathered together at Jerusalem, and when they had set them in the midst, they, the Kohanim, the Sadducees, by what power or by what name have you done this? Then Kepha, filled with the Ruach HaKodesh, said unto them, Ye rulers and people and elders of Israel, if this day we be examined for a good deed, let that made this impotent man, by what means he is made whole. So, he then goes on, be it known to you all, and to all the people of Israel, that by the name Hashem of Yahshua HaMashiach of Nazareth, whom you crucified, whom Yah raised from the dead, even by him does this man stand before you whole. This is the stone which was set at naught of you builders, which has become the head of the corner. Neither there is Yeshua, salvation, in any other, for there is no other name under heaven given among men where we must be saved. Now, when they saw the boldness of Kepha and Jochenan, they perceived that they were unlearned men and ignorant, and they marveled, and they took knowledge of them, that they had been with Yahushua. And behold, Aleph Tav, et the man which was healed, standing with them, they could say nothing against it. So, if we read what was being spoken here, the disciple Kepha, on this stone, your ecclesia shall be built. That's the house. It's not a building. And he said there is no other name under heaven and earth which men might have salvation of Yahweh than that of Yahshua. It's a play on words. It's an idiom, folks. But it all goes back. Look at that. I turned right to it. Wow. Right back to Hanak and what was going on here. The Why was the reason the Messiah had to come and redeem mankind? It's because of the perversion, the deception. The adversary, Satan, the adversary, or the opponent of Yahweh, the deity of the nations. It is his duty to deceive, so Yahweh can find out who is it that loves his commandments. We go to Exodus, Shemot, and in there contains the 10 Commandments. And if we go to the book of Devarim, it is the words of Moshe all the way to the end of his life. This is the final words, and this is the instructions, Devorim, words. Also the word of devar, a sticky honey, or the bumblebee. Yeah, it's a play on words. It stings, yet is sweet. The name is all important. It is he that was from the beginning. Okay? It was he that was in the beginning. The Aleph, all the way through the history of all of the books and the writers to the book of Hazan, which, my friends, we're in. We are in the book. This is who everybody is worshiping. The beast and the dragon that deceives all of the nations. Repent. Come out of her. Come out of Babylon. Don't be caught up in judgment. Turn unto righteousness. Turn unto his instructions. Because it is food unto our souls. If you have read and fed on the scriptures, okay, if you've know Yivarecha Yahweh v'yishmarecha, Yair panav elecha, v'yihunecha, v'yasam Yahweh panav elecha, v'yasem lecha shalom. Baruch Hashem Yahweh Yahshua HaMashiach ben Yahweh. Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. Shema Yisrael Yahweh Elohim Yahweh Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Gadol Aro Yahweh Iti Unyarama Shamo Yachtav. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Lelam Vaed. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh is the one, Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, blessed be his name, forever and ever and ever, Le'olam Va'ed.